leaders from various schools, the teachers who came with them, to arrange one student each to do a short presentation in front of the audience. I am going to tell you how we're going to do it. Don't worry, NTIC is going to be one. We're going to have only one presentation. And Esteemed School is going to have one presentation as well. Ms. Val Ilm is going to have one. Great Heights School. You come forward and talk about your school. Talk about your school. Just come forward and talk about your school. I want to believe the coordinators are working hard to pick a student among all to do this presentation. For us in NTIC, I think we are going to start. For us in NTIC, I think I already have a candidate. Muiba, are you there? Let's give her a round of applause. She's going to speak on behalf of NTIC students. Thank you very much. They said NTIC should have been the last. Muiba, the coordinator told me to do that. Please, you can wait, because it determines life, and then you are going to be successful. What do you expect from them, from the adults, socially, academically, economically? What do you think they should do to assist the young boys and girls who are coming up? So this is what you are going to do. Ms. Val Ilmi, are you ready?
My name is Muhabbat Shakubu, a student from the Nigerian Tulip International College. Here to speak on my school. The Nigerian Tulip International Colleges is known for its renowned motto, the right environment for learning. It has 6 branches all over Nigeria: Abuja, Lagos, Kaduna, Kano, and Yobe. It is known for its renowned achievements in sports, social activities, education, and also known for holding activities like science fair, quizzes, spelling bees, inter-house sports, TEDx events, amongst many others. The Nigerian Tulip International Colleges is a school that has amazing teachers and good social amenities like tutor touches, smart boards, and very adequate teachers. It also entails guidance and counseling to make sure that each student have the right mental health to enjoy their educational journey in school. The Nigerian Tulip International Colleges, my school, is the right environment for learning. Thank you.
What are expectations from this program? They are going to be mentoring you. What do you expect from adults? Yes.
Here, I expect adults to give children and teenagers the right, I would say, efficient attention, because like most students, like their parents travel out for like business trips or like work, and they don't have that attention and support. So I think that I would expect adults to give children attention.
Apart from attention, what else?
So,
what else do you need from them?
care, support.
Care, support.
Yes.
Attention, care, support, and what?
Availability of the resources.
Availability of resources. Thank you very much.
Barakatuh. My name is Amar Ramadan, and I am a student of Esteem Learning Center. Esteem Learning Center was established in 2015. It consists of a nursery, secondary, and primary section. Our secondary section is an only boys section, and it has a program called Esteem Q, where we provide students with Quran education. And last year, when it was established, we have provided more than 10 memorizers of the Quran. And in the sports aspect, we're one of the best in the state currently, with us winning the Abuja tournament in football. And if any of you schools want to play with us, of course, we're always ready to beat you guys. And medical facilities are the state of the art. Our class is state of the art facilities. We have electric boards. We have qualified teachers from all over Nigeria. And we provide different exams. We do the Cambridge IGCSE. We do the WAEC GCE, which was just concluded this December. We do NECO and JAM, which is recently coming on. That's what I have to say about my school, but if you have any questions, I'll be ready to take it.
You are ready for my question?
Yeah.
What do you call your name?
Ahmad Ramadan.
Ahmad, you are so good. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
For that expectations. Round of applause for you. Ahmed,
Yes.
what are your expectations from adults from this forum, this mentorship program? What do you expect?
My expectations are the adults should be able to speak to the children because we're the leaders of tomorrow. And since this is a Muslim organization, we should be faith-based in what we do because most kids nowadays are just distracted by Western materials, and we need to be faith-based so that we'll have the discipline and get ready for what's coming up in the future.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Secondary section, but it's only for the secondary section, it only accommodates girls. Our mission is to provide moral and academic excellence.
Provide what?
Moral and academic excellence, especially for the girl child.
Did you tell us your name?
Yes,
What's your name?
Umukultu Mustafa. Yes.
Continue.
It provides a very conducive learning center, focusing on each child's problems that makes us give qualitative educations to the students. What we're expecting from this program is that it should be able to teach us on how to, as teens, how to behave both socially and Islamically, as you had said.
Now, you didn't ask me if I have a question for you.
Okay, do you have any question for me?
I have a question for you.
Yes.
That's all for me. Thank you very much. Round of applause for me to say.
I'm here to give a brief explanation of my school. MIS was founded in 2018. Our vision is for students to excel both in the Islamic and the academic knowledge. Our mission is for our students to complete the Quran in the shortest possible time. MIS so far has produced over 100 Hufal, and also with experienced teachers and a fun learning environment. Any question for me?
Thank you very much. Your Faisal
Bin Ibrahim.
bin Ibrahim. Bin Ibrahim. Faisal from
Islam School. Yes.
Faisal, what are your expectations of this program?
My expectations by the end of this program is for our leaders to show us the way in becoming the top medical doctors, engineers, and also scholars in the earth. Inshallah.
Scholars,
Now,
have very good Faisal. Thank you very much. Where is your school located, Faisal?
at Kurdu Ajata.
Kurdu Ajata.
Yes, sir.
I'm going to quickly take the first speaker. Like I introduced him, he's our father and is the CEO of 200 Million Trees, an advisor on ICT to the governor of Niger State. I have the pleasure and privilege to invite to the podium Alhaji Dr. Ibrahim Juba. Round of applause for him, please. Thank you very much, sir. You're welcome.
Organizers, what is the topic? And they said, inspiring stories about our lives so that the younger ones will learn from them. And up until this morning, I didn't know what to tell them. I don't know if my life is that interesting. And in the car, I asked my friend Saeed over there, I said, what do you think I should tell them? And this morning, I was reading an e-book sent to me by Sheikh Nuruddin Lemu about the job forecast for 2025 by World Economics Forum. And they were talking about how AI and other new technologies are going to disrupt employment. However, one thing or two things they mentioned, that if you have those attributes, then you are going to be saved. And one is creativity. And the second one is resilience. That is patience or self-control. So, in my talk, I am going to discuss the Islamic principles of patience and what psychology says about that. But first, the background, right? When I was a young person, I wanted to be many things. And alhamdulillah, I've been all the things I wanted to be. To prepare myself, I got several degrees so that I could do many of those things. My father, when I was a child, told me that you see journalists, they can break a nation and they can unite a nation. I said, that is tremendous power. I want that power. I said I wanted to be a journalist, and I became a journalist. I was Southeast Asia correspondent for the Daily Trust newspaper. And because growing up we didn't have too much money, I wanted to read books that I could not afford. I wanted to be a librarian, right? So I became a librarian in a STEAM school, right? I wanted to be a data scientist. I wanted to work on oil and gas. Even though I'm not an oil engineer, I led software design team for Malaysia's oil company. It's called Petronas. Yeah? And Petronas is the best managed oil company in the world. It's smaller than our NNPC, but it's richer than our NNPC. Right? And this, to be able to work there is a privilege. I'm telling you this because you are going to graduate from school, maybe at the age of 17, 19, then you do another 4 years in the university. That is, if university is still necessary by the time you graduate, right? Because things are changing rapidly. The next year you see maybe the entire secondary education is rendered redundant. But from status quo, if you continue, you spend like 4 years in the university. By that time, you are in your 20s. That is when you should experiment. You do whatever you want to do. Take risks. Because at that time, you do not have responsibilities, right? So you can afford to fail. So fail, succeed, fail, succeed. Gather all these experiences, and then when you are in your 30s or late 20s, you get married and settle down, right? Then you cannot afford, especially for the boys, you cannot afford a lot of failures. By that time, you are supposed to niche down to a few expertise. If you are an engineer, you become a better engineer than any other person, right? Then in your 40s, that is when you choose what you are going to do for the rest of your life. And I'm going to tell you the story of how I came about my own decision, right? But in doing all this, in your 20s, even as teenagers, you must be a generalist, right? And there are three things at least that you need to be good in. And we saw a demonstration of one of them, today. an MIT professor gave an analogy. He said, if a commander, a general, sends his soldiers into battle without weapons, that commander is sending his troops to what? To their death. Because you cannot fight a war without weapons. And he said, as a consequence, that general, that commander should be court-martialed. He said the same thing applies to schools. If a school graduates students into the real world is a battleground, right? It's a very, very difficult place. Now your parents are doing everything for you. You don't know what they go through. But once you graduate into the real world, then you know that it's a difficult place. And the only place for us to rest is Al-Jannah. May Allah grant us Al-Jannah. So, he said, if any school graduates students into the battlefield of the real world without 3 weapons, then that school should be court-martialed, or whatever is the equivalent consequence of that. The first, in order of their importance, the first one is what? Is public speaking. If you can speak in public, and you can talk to anybody, people will eat out of your hands. You can get people to do anything. You become like a witch, a wizard, and you become influential. A few of our students came up on stage earlier, and we all had our assumptions about them, the way they dress, the way, is this one going to speak well? And alhamdulillah, all of them spoke well, right? And immediately, our perception of them changed. This must be very smart students, right? That is how politicians win elections. Some of them are not smart at all, but they can talk. They can talk. I remember when we were in politics around 2014, 2013, I just came back into Nigeria, and my friend wanted to be House of Reps member. I wanted to be State Assembly member. And we were told of a strategist, a politician who's been long in the business. So we invited him. And he came to my friend's place. And he told my friend that he was actually moving house from where he was. And the way the guy spoke, and he strategized how my friend was going to win the election. My friend was already sold. And when he was leaving, he removed the big screen, the big TV in his living room. He said, "You are moving out." He said, "Yes, okay, take the TV." You know? And you need some money, and he gave him the money. My friend didn't win that election. But because the way this guy presented himself, and he presented his ideas, you could get anything from my friend. Right? So if you can talk, you get a lot of things done. And as future leaders, you need to learn how to speak in public. You can't even do dawah if you can't speak in public. You can't be like people like Haji Arama if you can't speak in public, right? Yes, you can't be a good teacher if you can't speak in public. So everybody, this is non-negotiable. We can negotiate the other two I'm going to mention, but you cannot negotiate this. And I can teach you a few templates of how to quickly speak in public. Like right now, you were given a challenge of impromptu speaking. You answered correctly. But next time, when you are asked to talk about something, you take that thing and structure it into 3 parts, right? You said the past of that thing, the present of that thing, and the future of that thing. Esteem was started more than 20 years ago, actually, not 2015. But the secondary section was started in 2015, right? So you talk about the past. Esteem used to be a very vibrant school in the last 20 years. Then there was a need for us to start a secondary section. So we started the secondary section. Then you talk about the secondary section as it is now. As you talk about Esteem Q. Then you talk about the future. Now, right now we have graduates who are doctors, who are engineers, they are central bankers. We have them all over the world. Indeed, sometimes when I travel abroad, because I taught at Esteem primary school, I have students from all over the world that they will visit me in my hotel room because I keep in touch with them, right? So that is the future. You talk about the future, probably one day, inshallah, we'll produce one of the presidents of the country. Since nobody knows the future, you just paint the future the way you want it, right? So that is one. That is one template you can use. What did I call it? The past, the present, and what? And the future. And the second one is, and you can use this even for writing. You come on stage, you say, today I'm going to talk about something. That is the introduction. Then you tell the audience about that thing. That is the body, right? Then you tell the audience that you've told them about that thing. That is what? The conclusion. Also 3 parts, right? So tell the audience what you want to tell them, then tell them that you've told them. It's as easy as that, right? Or tell them a story, and then you bring out the moral of the story, and you leave the stage. In fact, the story will stay longer with the people, and that is why our religious books are filled with stories, right? And all the bestsellers, non-fiction bestsellers on Amazon, all of them are storybooks, right? So these are a few templates that you can use, a few structures that you can use to learn how to speak in public, even if it is impromptu. If you want more of them, some of your schools have my book, Impromptu Speaking Genius. You should consult them. Now, I say according to the order of importance, the second thing that the professor said schools should teach their students is writing, the ability to write. I also wanted to be a writer. I became a columnist for Daily Trust newspaper for more than 20 years, right? Since I was just barely out of my teenage years. So I did that for 2 decades, and most of my network is from writing. There was a time I wrote something, I started a series, then I received a text message, and the text message said, the Sultan wants you to suspend the series. So no writer wants to be told what he should write, especially a columnist. So I was annoyed when I saw that. I said, now who is this? He said, the Sultan. So I sent the number to my friend who works with the Supreme Council. I said, whose number is this? He said, it's Sultan's number. Right? It was that day I learned that even the Sultan read my column. And then from there, generals, governors, ministers, that's how I was able to, made my network from writing. But writing is not as important as public speaking. You can you can be very successful, well off in life without knowing how to write, if you know how to speak. Especially now that we have AI. AI can write for you, right? Can do a lot of writing for you, even though what AI writes is not as good as what a skilled writer can write. It's usually boring, right? But it will get better. And the third skill that the professor said every school must teach students is creativity. Creativity. How to generate ideas. And how do you do that? How do you generate ideas? In Islam, there is something that is valued, right? And that is working, right? There is a hadith that says, if you take your bath on Friday and you leave home very early and you walk towards the Friday mosque, every step you take, you get a reward for 1,000 years of worship. Some scholars said there is no hadith that promises that much reward. So I live in Mina. So every Friday by 12 noon, I leave my house. And I've counted the steps. From my house to the mosque is 1,500 steps. So I'm hoping Allah will reward me every Friday for 1,500 years of worship, right? Because it's just one day in a week. Why can't we just abandon everything we are doing and do that? So that is how to generate ideas. But now you find it difficult to think, how does working help us to generate ideas? Let me tell you about an American novelist. He's actually the most successful American writer in history. Stephen King. Who knows Stephen King? He writes novels. Who has read his book? Most of what he writes is horror, right? And if you take Amazon, maybe 50% of the success of books on Amazon belongs to him. The remaining 50% is shared among the other writers. He said there was a time that he was stuck when he was writing. If you're a writer, you know that. You can relate. And his problem was he had so many characters that he didn't know what to do with them. They've outlived their purpose in the book. So how will he get rid of the characters without forcing the issue? So for many weeks, he was taking long walks. Then, at a point, he remembered what he read, where somebody said, if you want to get rid of a character, you should introduce somebody with a gun. Right? So he said, that's interesting. I'm not going to introduce someone with a gun, but I'm going to introduce somebody with a bomb. So he put all the extra characters in one room, and he bombed the room. And that solves the problem. Right? So taking walks help you. When I was doing my PhD, we had a very big campus. Sometimes you get stuck. When you are doing research work, you know where you want to go. But how to get there is usually difficult. So I would take long walks in the campus. And by the time you come back, you have a solution to unstuck yourself. So walking is very important. We go to Hajj, we go for Umrah, and we do a lot of walking, right? So in Islam, walking is favored. Even the 5 daily prayers, when you walk to 5 daily prayers, especially if you perform ablution at home, you are rewarded for the steps you take. In fact, it's said that you're already in prayers when you do that. So those are the 3 skills that you must cultivate. And besides any other skill you cultivate, these ones are constants. You must learn them, especially the speaking aspect of it. So who can remind me the 3 skills the professor advised us to learn? Quickly. 3 skills. Students, yes. I thought you were listening. Yes. My speaker at the... Speaking, writing, and the ability to generate ideas. Put your hands together for her. Now, that is for the elementary. That is basic, right? Then in your 30s, you have to be better than your colleagues in at least one thing, right? In at least one thing. And usually, you go into a new office when you start work, you try to find out, who is the best in that thing, that vocation. Then you do 10 times what that person is doing that made him the best, right? I remember there was a student in esteemed secondary school who came, and when he came, he said, "Who is the best student in this class?" They said, "That's him over there." He said, "He's my competition." I said, that's a very wise move, right? The best person is your competition. You have no business with anybody below the best, right? And usually, being the best is about resilience. It's about patience. Indeed, in Europe now and America, in the Western Hemisphere, the most important skill they are trying to drill into their children is patience. And what did the Quran say? In Surah Al-Furqan, the last ayah, or second to the last, can't remember. When Allah is describing Ibadur Rahman, don't we have kuffars here? Where is that man that spoke before me? From which school? When Allah was describing Ibadur Rahman, وَإِذَا قَاتَلَهُمُ الْجَاهِلُونَ قَالُوا سَلَامًا. Okay, the end. No. After that. أُولَٰئِكَ يُجْزَوْنَ الْغُرْفَةَ بِمَا صَبَرُوا وَيُلَقَّوْنَ فِيهَا تَحِيَّةً وَسَلَامًا. بِمَا صَبَرُوا. The Quran is laden with bima sabaru. Those who patiently persevere. Ulaika yujzawna al-ghurfa. They are going to inherit what? The kingdom. They are going to inherit paradise, heaven, because of what they patiently persevere. Now psychology says if you have 2 twins, if one is patient and the other is not, or the one that is most patient, because everybody has some patience, right? the most patient is usually older. Sorry, the most patient is usually younger than the inpatient one by 1.5 years. And that was at the stage where that research was reported. It says that as they continue to age, the gap in their age will continue to widen. So the patient person will continue to be younger and younger and younger, while the inpatient twin, their environment is the same, the parents the same, everything the same, right? And still, there is this, because of one variable, there's this difference, right? Also, psychologists have reported that the patient twin usually does better in school and also at work. That is why, because they know this, that is why they are trying to inculcate patience into their children. In fact, there is a tool now that you can use to see who is more patient among students. You just give them and they answer. It's a survey, right? And if they answer truly, you can tell and you can rank them according to who is the most patient. I'm dwelling on this because that's what I lack, right? And my parents noticed, and they continue to tell me, be patient, right? Aha. So that is very important.
So is it by look?
Eh?
Is it by their look?
You know, there is this test that medical practitioners do where they will tell you your biological age and also the chronological age. Yes, it's the biological age that is younger. Yes. So, which means the organs, everything, they are fresher and younger. They are healthier, let's say that. So, that is it. With patience, you'll be able to do better than anybody you work with and become dependable, right? If you become dependable, you are not a thief, you are competent, everybody is going to gravitate towards you, right? Because every employer needs two things in an employee. And what the old man said to Musa, right? That, can you remind? No, the old man that gave a wife to Musa. No, when he said the best person is the person. Very good. Kawiyun, Amin. Kawiyun, someone who has strength. Strength here means competence. Also physical strength, but also competence. You can do what you say you can do. You can walk, you can be relied upon. And Amin, we all know that. You are trustworthy. So if I have a competent staff who is also trustworthy, alhamdulillah, I'll go and sleep. But it's very difficult to get these two in an individual. Of Nigeria were very competent, but they were thieves, right? And some were honest to a fault, but not competent, right? Aha. So try to get these two. Now, because there is not much time, after your 30s, when you hit 40, then you have crisis, right? You start thinking, what have I achieved with my life? Because that was what happened to me. On my 40th birthday, I was depressed. So what have I done? I'm here, I'm there, I'm here, I'm there. What have you done? Who have you helped? You know? What have you achieved for your hereafter? Right? So, and as I was contemplating, I spoke to the wife of my governor, and she said that same thing happened to her. She was about 3 years older than me, I think. So, this is how I resolved it. I said, from now on, I will stop doing several things. And I will concentrate on things that will not earn me income in this world, but they will continue to earn me the hereafter, right? And there is an answer from a hadith that says, after our death, 3 things continue, right? What is number 1? Sadaqatu Jariyah. Capital projects, right? Digging a well, planting trees, building mosques, building schools, etc. Right? It will continue even when you are gone. Number 2. Walad Salih, a child that will pray for you, right? And that is not very reliable, right? We don't we don't know what our children will become, right? And that is why number 1 is more important. Build your capital projects when you are alive. Number 3, knowledge that benefits. Knowledge that benefits. So I said, I will concentrate on these 3. I'll try to get my children to be better so they can pray for me when I'm gone. And probably marry more wives so that I can get more children. So that I diversify the risks. So but the most important one is capital project. So I said, I like planting trees. So planting trees is what I'm going to do for the rest of my life. Right? And I also write. Writing will be what I'm going to use as knowledge that benefits. So that when I'm gone, people will still be using my knowledge. And in 2022, I launched 10 books in one day. Yes? And we started 200 million trees, took upon the goal of planting 1 tree for every Nigerian. In the last 4 months, we planted 800,000 trees. So, because of a lot of benefits in it. Trees are very easy to plant. It takes a lot of money to build a school or to build a mosque, but with 200 naira, I can buy a seedling and plant, right? And that tree can live for 35, 50 years. In fact, Mufti Menk said that if you plant a tree and you live for 80 years, the reward that you'll be getting from that tree will be times 10 of your lifespan. That is 800 years, right? That's 1 tree. So what if you plant millions or thousands? So that is how I was able to resolve the crisis and the depression of my getting old, right? If you want to do yours may be just, building wells, digging wells, or building schools, or whatever. They are in the Quran. The capital projects are in the Quran. Or feeding people. If you want some of them, you go to SDGs. SDGs. What are SDGs? Sustainable Development Goals. We have 17 of them there. Most of them align with Islam. So you can just choose one. You say, this is what I'm going to do as my legacy. Right? So I think I'm going to stop here. There are other speakers that will come after me, and I don't want to bore you with my boring stories. Assalamu alaikum warahmatullah.
The beginning that we have a lot of things to learn today For allow Doctor is going to continue till 2 o'clock to continue to pass wisdom to young ones and inspire us. Another round of applause for Doctor, please. Thank you very much. A lot of
he is the Sultan, right? Yes. But I was younger then, so I was more rebellious, right? And but I didn't continue. I decided to go to my senior colleague, Mahmoud Jega. You know, Mahmoud Jega is the younger brother to Professor Jega. He was our chairman of the editorial board then. So, yes. So after our meeting, I said, Chairman, this is my dilemma. He said, Doctor, you have so many things to write about. If the Sultan says he doesn't like that, just write about other things. I said, well, this makes sense, you know. Even though I didn't want to stop writing, I had to abandon that topic. So that's how I resolved it. And for my younger brothers and sisters, I commend that to you. Usually when you don't know what to do, you ask your elders. They've usually been there, done that. They have the experience, and they can easily resolve that for you because it's a shortcut, you know, to decision making. The second question, how many degrees, right? I think I have about 6 degrees, besides other certifications. So, and the final one, where do I work now? I'm always working with esteem, right? Always. Whenever I'm in Abuja, I'm in esteem, right? Yesterday, I had 4 meetings. I scheduled all of them at esteem so that I can be with the students and I can be with Uncle Musa and the teachers and the directors of the school. So I'm always with them. But I'm a farmer now. I'm a tree planter. That's what I do. So you want to plant trees, I'll be your consultant. So, my special relationship. Esteem is family. My first child is named after Uncle Musa. Right? Uncle Musa got me my first wife, you know. So many things. He's a family, he's an uncle. Right. So Hajia has been a mother for a very long time, and I really, really appreciate their mentorship. May Allah reward them with Al-Jannah. Yes, yes. So, Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi.
Thank you very much.
Ubangiji Alitu, Rahmani Rahim, mai rahma mai jin kai, maliki yawmiddin, mai nuna da milki ranar sakamako, iyaka na'budu wa iyaka nasta'in. Kai ne muna bautawa kuma kai ne muna nema taimakonka, hidina siratal mustaqim, ka shirya mana hanya mai daidaiciya, siratal ladina an'amta alaihim ghairil maktubi alaihim waladdallin, hanya wadanda kai wa nima ba wadanda kai fishi da su ba batatu ba. Now I would like to say something that is very important to me. First of all, I'm happy to be here because it's a historic day. I was around when this organization was formed, and I remember a lot of people did not think it's something that would last for this long, and Mohammed Shetima has proven them wrong. هذا اليوم التاريخي بالنسبة لي لأنني كنت موجودا عندما تم تحفيز هذه المؤسسة، ولم نعرف بأنه سوف يكون مؤسسة طويلة المدى مثل هذا، ولقد أثبت محمد بأن هؤلاء الناس كانوا غلطانين في رأيهم. It's so important for us in Nigeria to not only have ideas, but to make sure that we develop these ideas and we make sure that these ideas last over the decades. لقد أصبح من المهم جدا هنا في نيجيريا أن لا نخصص المؤسسات فقط، ولكن أن نضمن استمرار هذه يعني المؤسسات للعقود. Because biggest problem we have in this country is not innovation. The biggest problem we have is continuation. مشكلتنا الكبرى في هذا البلد تكمن ليست في الابتكار ولكن في الاستمرار. So we have to change our attitude. We have to think always long term. We have to think about something that will live beyond us. يجب علينا أن نغير سلوكنا ونفكر أن الأشياء التي سوف تدوم بعد موتنا. Now, I'm really happy to be here because it gives me an opportunity to give advice to the young people, people that are starting their lives, so that they can do the right things at the right time. يشرفني أن أكون هنا بين هذا سوف يؤتيني فرصة أن أنصح الشباب الذين قد بدأوا حياتهم كي يفعلوا الأشياء الصحيحة في الوقت الصحيح. In this world, when we are born, Allah sends everybody with something special. Everybody has something special. The most important thing is to find out what you have that is special and to also cultivate the confidence to develop it. عندما نولد يكون لكل واحد منا شيء مختلف، شيء خاص. الأهم شيء ليس أن نكتشف فقط ماذا يكون لدينا، ولكن أن يكون لدينا الثقة الذاتية الكافية لتطوير هذه المواهب. So if we all work with what Allah has given us, and we have the confidence that we can actually use it to do something good, then Allah will make it prosperous for us. ولذلك إذا نحن نؤمن بأن ربنا قد أعطانا شيء ونستخدمه كي نطوره سوف ننجح. When I was a kid, I was like 9 years old. My father sent me to a summer school in England. لما كنت ولد صغير كان عندي 9 سنوات أرسلني أبي إلى مدرسة صيفية في لندن. And when I got there, all the students were Arab speaking from different Arab countries. وعندما وصلت هناك كل الطلاب كانوا من بلدان عربية. And I felt bad because they spoke Arabic and I didn't understand what they were saying. وأنا كنت زعلان لأنهم كانوا يتكلمون لغة عربية وأنا لم أفهم كلامهم. So I came back to Nigeria and I told my dad I will not go back to that school next year in London unless he gets me a teacher that will teach me how to speak Arabic. وعندما وصلت إلى نيجيريا قلت لأبي لأني لن أرجع إلى تلك المدرسة إلا إذا جاب مدرسا يعلمنا اللغة العربية. And that was how my father got me a teacher. And by the grace of God, once I was 9 years old, I was able to speak Arabic. وكذا جاب لي أبي مدرسا وعلمني اللغة العربية عند سنوات 9. So when I went back to the school, the same children were laughing at me because they thought I was coming back the way I came the last year. وعندما وصلت هناك كانوا نفس الأطفال يسخرون مني لأنهم كنت مفكرين بأنني قد جئت كما كنت في السنة السابقة. Then I started speaking Arabic to them and they couldn't believe it. They were like, how come you could not speak last year and now you're speaking? وعندما تكلمت معهم باللغة العربية لم يصدقوا، كانوا مستغربين كيف أنت تعلمت في خلال السنة فقط. That was the beginning of this my language journey, my language love, my language obsession, because I now realized that I could do it. Before, I did not think I could do it. وهذه كانت بداية رحلتي في اللغات، الحب للغات. From Arabic, I learned Hausa because my mother was born in Zaria and she grew up in Zaria. وبعد اللغة العربية تعلمت اللغة الهوسية لأن أمي ولدت في زاريا وترعرعت هناك. And from there, I went to school in America and I learned French, I learned Spanish, I learned German, I learned Italian, I learned Portuguese, I learned Japanese. وبعد ذلك ذهبت إلى الولايات المتحدة وتعلمت أسبانية والإيطالية والبرتغالية واليابانية والغيرها من اللغات. And when I came back to Nigeria, I was now going to marry from Maiduguri and I did not even know that people over there spoke a language different from Hausa. ولما تزوجت من ميدوغري لم أعرف بأنه ناس هناك يتكلمون لغة مختلفة من Hausa. And when I got there, I found out that they have these weird habits, Muhammad becomes Mamadou, and everything is strange. ولما وصلت هناك اكتشفت بأنهم عندهم عادات غريبة، يعني محمد قد عندهم مامادو والأشياء غريبة. And I said, no, these people will sell me, let me learn Kanuri. وقلت بأن هؤلاء الناس سوف يبيعوني يجب أن أتعلم لغة كانورية. And I learned Kanuri and I also learned شواء عرب، وأنا تعلمت كانوري وشواء عرب. وبعد ذلك قلت لنفسي يا جامع, I told myself, Jama, you've learned 7 foreign languages and Nigerian languages you only speak 3, which then is Hausa, Kanuri, and Yoruba. I said, no, I have to learn Shua and I have to learn Igbo and I also have to learn Fulani. وأنا قلت لنفسي يجب علي أن أتعلم لغات نيجيريا زيادة كي تكون هناك توازن بين اللغات الأجنبية واللغات المحلية, so that there can be a balance between the local languages and the international languages. So now I've speak 5 local languages and 7 international languages, so I still have 2 more local languages to catch up. ولذلك لقد تعلمت يعني 5 لغات محلية و7 لغات دولية ويجب أن أتعلم لغتين إضافيتين محليتين. So now I've decided I'm going to learn Ijaw and I'm going to learn maybe Bira or something, as long as there can be a balance. وقد يعني قررت بأنني سوف أتعلم لغتين إضافيتين كي يكون هناك توازن. And as I was doing all of that, I realized that my passion is not just languages, it's also into writing as well, that I love writing. وعندما كنت أفعل كل هذا كنت اكتشفت بأنني عندي حب حيداً للكتابة. That I now started writing my books as well. I've written like 4 books now. I'm the first Nigerian to write books in Arabic about Arabic people, Arabic culture. وأنا الآن قد أصبحت الأول نيجيري الذي يكتب كتب عربية بالمجتمعات العربية. So now, as God would have it, the president just 2 months ago now said I should become the senior special assistant to the president on linguistics and foreign matters. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala was teaching me all of this for a reason, so I can use this to help my country. والآن الرئيس البلد كلمني وقال لي بأنه سوف يؤتيني المنصب مساعد لرئيس البلد للغات والشؤون الخارجية. ولقد علمني ربنا يتوب على كل هذا للسبب. So now I'm going to now use all of these skills to now attract as much foreign investment to Nigeria and to actually make sure that Nigeria catches up with other parts of the world, inshallah. والآن سوف أستخدم كل هذا كي أطور نيجيريا وأجيب الاستثمارات وأتأكد بأن هناك نجاح هنا في نيجيريا مثل بقية العالم بلدان العالم. So I think this should inspire, people. You don't have to be a linguist. You might have something else. Maybe God has taught you to be an artist, or maybe God has taught you to play the piano. هذا اللي يجب عليه أن يشجع الناس. لأن ربنا سبحانه وتعالى قد أعطاك يمكن شيء مختلف. يمكن تبخي وحاجة مختلف. So you just look inside, find out what you have passion for, and get the courage and the confidence to develop it so that you can become a plus to the society. يجب عليك أن تنظر إلى داخلك وتخرج ما أعطاك رب العالمين كي يكون لك قدرة للإضافة للمجتمع. This is the humble message I came today to share with the youths and to everybody else. وهذا هي رسالتي اليوم للشباب وبقية الناس. And I hope I made sense, and I hope I didn't speak too fast. وأتمنى بأننا نتكلم بسرعة. شكرا. Thank you very much.
Currently, I'm associate lecturer at the Montfort University, Leicester, and I'm also a sustainability consultant, which means I'm kind of qualified to consult in any sustainable housing matters. Next slide, please. So, my journey started in my childhood. I'm from Borno State, Maiduguri. Kanuri by tribe. I grew up in Maiduguri, where average temperature there can peak up to 40 degrees. And I'm saying that because this is relevant to what I'm going to share with you, how my journey started. Okay. Okay, sorry. Okay. My education, I went to, you can see my primary school colleagues here. I went to a school called, it's a very popular school in the 80s and 90s. It's called Shehu Garbe School. And it's like everybody at that time that grew up in Maiduguri went to that school. It's one of the top schools then. And secondary school, I went to FGGC Poti School, which is also very common to go to, yes. And this is where I met my very good friend, Hassan Husseina, in secondary school. Also, Sister Falmata here. And a lot of people I can see. My family also, they went to FGGC Poti School. It's a boarding school. So we learned a lot. I'm sorry, this is messing up. So it's a boarding school, which means we learned a lot in the process. Apart from the education, we also learned morals, we learned resilience. All right. We learned how to be resilient and disciplined as well. And then after that, I went to Abubakar Tafawa Balewa, which is known as ATBU Bauchi. And I can see some of my good friends there. also, they are here to support me in the audience. So it's also one of the I would say one of the very good government universities at that time, in the 90s. So, in terms of my master's degree, fast forward 13 years after my first degree, I went for my master's in architecture and sustainability. And the reason being, I paused my studies, I kind of paused my career to focus on my family. That was when I got married after my first degree, started having children, and then after my fourth child, which is the last one, I went back and look at her, the little one. She's now 9 years old. So I started my master's when she was 6 months old. So, and at that time, I was 37 years old. So imagine and I was the oldest in the class. Sorry about this. Can somebody help me, please? Okay. All right, now going back to how it started, how I came into studying architecture in the first place. It all started in my childhood while I was very young. Primary school, I would say maybe primary 3, 4 years old. We used to regularly go to the village, and you can see the village house here and townhouse, which was typical everywhere. Village houses are made of mud bricks and thatch roof. And then in the town, you have concrete block walls, and then aluminum or zinc roof, just metal roofs. So, but then, what I noticed as a child was when we went to the village to visit our grandparents, I was very happy and comfortable in the house. There was no electricity, no light, but when we come to sleep, we sleep indoors, and it was fine. We didn't even need fans. And contrary to that, in the town, Maiduguri, as you know, is well known for not having constant electricity. And the houses would be like, I would say, very hot during the hot season. And that's why, going back to that 40 degrees, it was as hot as that. So what we ended up doing sometimes without lights is we sleep outdoors. We sleep in the either courtyard or just the parking space. We bring out, in the evening we take out, in fact, before we take out the mats, we had to pour water on the ground to soak it up, to make it cool. And some of my colleagues here can relate to that. And then put mats, and put mattresses there, and then we sleep. And almost close to Fajr, we put everything back indoors because it's getting, of course, daylight. We go back indoors, and then that's how we manage them. But then I used to think, how can't we adapt that village house to the city life? But I didn't know, of course, I was very young. I didn't know how to do that at that time. So I was speaking to my dad sometime around maybe JS1 in secondary school. I asked him, like, okay, because he wanted me to be a doctor. Of course, every parent will want a child that is doing well in school to be a doctor. And I said, well, I think I'm interested in housing, like the house we live in. Do you know what kind of career that is responsible for such housing? And then my dad said, oh, these people, they are called architects. And I said, all right, that's what I want to do. Because in my mind, I was thinking, I need to solve this problem of not depending on air conditioning or lights to live in the city. So, knowing that, okay, I think I'll still go back to that. In my journey in primary school, of course, I did primary school education, secondary school. So after the junior secondary school, because I knew that time I wanted to be an architect, I focused on the subjects relevant to architecture. So in senior secondary school, I was in technical class, which means I was able to do technical drawing. And surprisingly, I was the only one that did that technical drawing, and I wasn't ashamed of being the only one. I did technical up to WIAC level. So during my exams, even I did my WIAC exam for technical drawing in the staff room, because there was no need to use the hall. There was other subjects, because it was an option between further maths, economics, and technical drawing. So everybody else was going to either further maths or economics, but I thought, okay, I don't need those subjects. I'm going to focus on technical drawing. So that's how I did the technical drawing. And then after that, I read, we had to do JAM to go to university, and I read the brochure, the JAM brochure, and I thought, okay, which university offers architecture? And that's when I applied. I focused on the subjects as well. So I did physics, chemistry, and maths combination. And then in terms of application to the university, I applied to ATBU as my first choice, and then second choice was University of Jos. And this is somebody that I grew up in Maiduguri. I have 22 siblings. I think almost all of them went to UNIMED except for 2 of us. So imagine everybody was, like by default, going to UNIMED. But I thought, well, I don't need to go to UNIMED. I'm not going to UNIMED. They don't do architecture there. Why should I go there? I'm going to Bauchi. I didn't know how I would cope because I didn't know anybody. But I just thought, okay, this is what I want to do, and I have to go for it. So that's how I got admission through JAM. I was first given ATB Bauchi and then UniJos. But then I decided to choose Bauchi because I felt it was closer to home. So that's how I ended up in ATB Bauchi studying architecture. And I did that for 5 years. Then after that, of course, I had a family and I paused. But in between that, during the 13 to 14 years before my master's degree, I still was kind of living architecture because I didn't stop. I was doing some design for family and friends. And the main reason is because I wasn't qualified to be an architect. I had a first degree. For you to qualify to have a practice, you must have a master's degree in architecture. But I didn't have it. And also with the challenges of children, family, you have a home to maintain and all that, I just thought, okay, let me just wait. Even though, yes, there were some obstacles, but I was still patient. Like what my previous speakers mentioned about perseverance. I was still patient, waiting for the right time. And I thought, okay, one day, hopefully, if I'm lucky to practice architecture, I will do that. But because my own thinking is, I need to solve this problem. And even at that time, this problem was still not solved. So I patiently waited. After those 4 years, that's when I was able, well, not going deep into that, I moved to the UK to settle there while my children were very young. And the little one was, in fact, I had her there. I had my youngest child there. And then after 4 months, I started looking for admission for master's. But I wasn't very sure of getting the admission because imagine 13 years. But because I had, well, I would say I was constantly making dua for what is best for me. I thought I needed to do like a qualification before that. But luckily, because I had a good first degree, I applied to the universities, to a few universities, and I got 2 admissions. 2 different universities gave me admission. And that is when I chose De Montfort University, Leicester. And because that was the first one that came out, and I thought, at least I got something, let me grab it quickly. And then the following week, I received the other admission. But of course, I've already accepted the one in Leicester, and I think that's because that's where my destiny lies. So I went for the master's while my daughter was 6 months old. After that, I was, because I was trying to look for an architecture job, but then it entails me doing that full time. Meanwhile, I have 4 young children, and being alone there with children, I was focusing more on their tarbiyah rather than getting childcare for them to just go and work. So I decided to look for part-time jobs, which unfortunately you couldn't find part-time architecture jobs. You have to go there full-time because it's quite time demanding. So that's when I decided, okay, let me just do something. Because I love teaching, I started teaching just in further education as part-time. And doing that, I just felt like, okay, I think I would love this journey of teaching. Let me try and make it further, go into, further education is kind of like, after secondary school, you have what is called further education and then higher education, which is university. So the further education was kind of a lower level of university, just like the diploma you have in polytechnics. So then I thought I need to go higher. That's when I decided, okay, for me to do that, I need to have a PhD. Then I started looking for funding, and that's how I got the funding to do the PhD in architecture and sustainability. In PhD in architecture. And my research topic is designing sustainable housing for slums, which is, slum is an informal settlement that doesn't have good housing structure. They are overcrowded mostly, but because that is what they can afford and they don't like, the settlement is kind of not a very good structure. So I thought it would be a challenge to upgrade their lifestyle. And the case study here is in Abuja Garki village. So my PhD journey, sustainable, okay, let me go back, sorry. Okay, let me not waste too much time here. But what I want to say here is, for me, the main reason I went for this PhD is, first of all, because I have that 13-year employment and experience gap, I needed to go back into education and learn the current situation, learn new technology, learn new skills to fill up that void that I had. And then secondly, it will give me more time with my children, because at that time, the youngest was like 5 years old. The eldest was just 16. And I thought leaving them to go and start my career would be too much for them. So I thought, let me just buy time, because PhD takes like 4 to 5 years. And I thought by then, at least after my PhD, they will be independent and I don't have to worry about leaving them at home if I'm able to travel or go somewhere else related to my career. So that's how I ended up in the PhD in architecture. Even though this one came with its own challenges, both in personal life and career-wise. Firstly, in terms of personal, it was difficult to manage having children and doing a full-time PhD. And that PhD is not like you going for lectures, coming back, and that's it. It's like a 24/7 experience. You have to just find time and study and read and find like the contribution. For you to contribute something new, you have to look at what everybody else has done, and then you propose your own contribution. So that requires a lot of reading, a lot of studying, and sleepless nights and all that. And at the same time, in between, I was still trying to work part-time. So that's how I was able to get this associate lecturer job at the university while I'm teaching. So associate lecturer means you are teaching part-time, not fully. So I was able to balance that with my family and then the studies. It's not easy, but that is what I'm still doing that. So in terms of that, and then in terms of I would say, okay, next one. In terms of what a sustainable, for those of you that may be wondering what a sustainable house is, for me, what I'm trying to advocate for now as a sustainable house is not only the house that is environmentally friendly. You have to look at the holistic approach of it, which is social adequacy, that it has to meet the social needs and the culture. And for my PhD, I'm focusing more on designing housing that is suitable for a specific culture and a specific lifestyle, in addition to being environmentally friendly and also affordability. It has to be, one has to be able to afford to build and maintain. Not only affording to build, but you have to factor in the running cost of that building for a long time. So that is what a sustainable house is. So just to conclude, in terms of my journey, I would say what makes me kind of stand out from the crowd, because everybody will say, okay, this is just a journey about architecture and this and this. So what makes her different? Well, from what I've experienced from people that hear my story is because I'm doing this as a mature student at the age that a lot of people, like I would say, a lot of my colleagues are now professors. But I'm just starting my journey, and I consider myself a late woman. So I started my journey at a later life, but I would say I'm happy. I'm happy now with what the progress I've made so far. And I would say Allah has already destined my life and put all those obstacles for me to be able to achieve my goal at this specific time. So the first thing I would say for you as students now, young people, ensure that you work really hard. Hard work is important. After knowing what you want to do, you need to work hard to achieve that. And secondly, the perseverance. Here I put the meaning of perseverance because this is what I have done all my life. Like the effort or achieve something despite difficulties and failure. I've faced a lot of challenges which I'm not going to go into right now, but it has been a difficult journey. A lot of people, especially women in my situation, would have given up in life. But I use that as I would say, this is my strength. This thing did not work, I need to move forward. I don't want to rely on others, I need to rely on only Allah for my success. And that is what I did with the perseverance and hard work, seeking that dream of being an architect to solve a problem of housing. So that is one, and then the support of my family and friends. My family has been very supportive in terms of financial and moral support. My parents are late. Unfortunately, my dad that wanted to see me achieve that dream did not live to see that. But alhamdulillah, at least I have a lot of siblings that are always supporting and that they always have my back. And then my friends. So what I would say for you, first of all, make sure you have good relationship with your families. And secondly, you have good friends and good people surrounding you. So what happened to me was, looking back now, I can reflect and say that I've been getting, each step of my life, Allah puts someone in my way, and then they'll help me move to the next step. Because I met so many good people along my journey that have influenced me in a positive way, one way or the other, and then move forward. One example is a friend of mine, while I was looking for childcare for my little one, and in the UK, the childcare is very expensive. I would say unaffordable. And I didn't have money. So she introduced me to someone she knew and said, this woman, she's a mom, she has 4 children, her husband was doing PhD that time. And she said she could help you to take care of your child while you go for your studies. And that's what I did. So because we don't live close together, I had to walk 30 minutes, pushing my child in a pushchair. She was 6 months old, remember that time. I pushed her, and then to drop her with the woman. And then I would walk another 30 minutes to university. My lecture started at 9 a.m. So I had to leave home by around 7, just to get there on time. But if I didn't have to do that, it was just like 20 minutes away. But I have to go around just so that I would drop the child and go there. But I was lucky she did that out of the goodness of her heart. And then after classes, I'll come back, pick my child. She was safe and well because she's also Nigerian. We had like this connection and she had little kids. And I'll pick my child, come back home. And that's how I did that throughout my master's studies, which I appreciate. So this is one of the examples. And now, as I'm talking to you now, this woman, she developed cancer and passed away like 3 years ago. Yeah. So of course, I really miss her. But I could say she was one of the people that helped me during my challenging time, that I felt like, okay, even because of that, I wouldn't be able to do the master's. But she was there to help me move to the next step. So that's one of the things that I would say about, especially when you make dua. When you make dua constantly, ask Allah for guidance, and Allah will bring people. Allah does not come down himself to do the help, but Allah will bring people in your way, good people to support and help you move forward. And of course, that is the power of dua. So I would say, I think this is a little contribution I have. I hope this helps to inspire you in your future careers. Thank you.
Because we have a passion on planting. And I also got the last part of my dear brother, Abdul Jamiu Biola. But I got the full gist of Hajia Mariam, and it's quite inspiring. And I'm going to use her presentation as a litmus test for the students here before I say anything. If you have decided what you want to be in future, just raise up your hands. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12,
13. Okay, that guy holding on to Chin Chin, stand up, come to the stage. And I'll call another, okay, you laughing at him, you two come to the stage. Let's do that quickly. Chap, 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 come. Haji, walk like a man. You are walking too casual. Huh? Are you all right? Are you sick? Then you should walk like a man next time, okay? What do you want to be in future?
I want to be a programmer.
What sort of programmer?
Well, I want to make games and apps specifically.
Okay, so what have you done so far?
Well, so far, I normally go for this Olympiad program where they teach different subjects. There's math, there's English, and others. And one of them is informatics. And there they teach programming, C++ specifically.
Okay.
So since JSS2, I've been going for it. And yeah, even in SS1, I went throughout for the whole session to an Olympiad-specific class,
Okay.
where they mix Olympiad with all the different subjects, and they are very intentional about Olympiad, about that Olympiad. So I've really learnt a lot, and I heard from my teacher once that the amount of knowledge I know right now,
MashaAllah.
even university students will find it hard to
Compete with you. MashaAllah. MashaAllah. Sorry, pardon me, I didn't ask your name and your class.
My name is Khalilullah Jayola. I'm from SS2.
SS2.
Yes, sir.
So, so currently you have started putting effort towards achieving your goal. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And you said, that according to you, even some university students will find it tough with you, right?
Yes.
May Allah see you through.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Don't go yet, Khalil. All right. Tell us your name and your class and what you want to be. Okay.
My name is Farida Karimi. In SS2, and I want to be an aeronautical engineer.
So what have you done so far?
Well, for starters, I went to robotics class, and I also did Olympiad from just 1 to just 3. And I participated in lots of competitions, like English competitions, math, science, international competitions, basically. The ones that NTIT makes allowances for us. And I also do SAT classes
You can
and
go.
practices. I also do SAT classes and practices because I want to go to MIT in the US.
Okay. I think in Florida.
In Massachusetts.
Massachusetts, yeah. Okay. So why I invited two of them to stage is to link up an event with Hajia Mariam or Dr. Mariam. Her intuition started as a child trying to solve a problem. Okay? And this is what we want you to first of all think of. Not just, oh, this looks like a nice thing for me to do. And even if it does, it's not a problem. But have the conviction, okay, you can go and sit. Have the conviction that you have a target in life. And you can achieve that target. For instance, my dear brother Abdul Jamiu, the last time we met, I think he was on his 7th or 9th languages. Today, he's on the 13th one. And today, when he was doing that, I think if we had the privilege of talking, we would never saw him working with the president because of languages. I think nobody in his right sense would say, oh, I'm studying language, so I'll go and be speaking and translating for Mr. President. It may just be a passion, or at best say, I want to work in foreign affairs. But you see where his passion got him to. So the essence of Crystal Talk is to create that avenue to show you, the young ones, that Whatever you have chosen for your life, it's in your hands, the hands of Allah, and of course, I say the GPS. God, parent, and self. If you can work with this as your compass, I think we all know what GPS is, right? The one whenever you are lost, you press GPS. So if you can use that, the same acronym, God, parent, and self, in whatever you do, you will see that you will never get lost. It will be a compass for you. Because wherever you put God first, you will be convinced that prayers and commitment will definitely lead you on the right path. Second, if you are obedient to your parents, respectful to your parents, they will also guide you. The third one, if you are determined, self-confidence, push yourself beyond limits, you will also see you achieve your goals. I'll tell you one short funny story about myself. I am today, alhamdulillah, in the military. But my own inspiration came from a movie. I watched this, the Top Gun movie about a naval pilot, back in JS3. And I got excited. Oh, I have to be a pilot. I have to fly for the Navy. And sincerely, nobody in my house cared to listen to why I wanted to be a pilot, because in a house of 14, who would you explain what to? But everybody knew about my passion. But it was up to me. And when I was in JS2, all I did from that JS3 was, how do I become a pilot? Or how do I become a pilot? So when I was in SS1, SS2, I now told myself, oh, to become a pilot in the Nigerian military, you have to go through NDA. So without asking my parents or anybody, like Dr. Mariam said, from my school money, I trekked to where they sell NDA forms to buy the form, not because I was ready to go to NDA, because I wanted to have an idea of what NDA exam feels like. I hadn't done my SSCE then. I don't know if you are understanding the effort here. I wasn't ready to go to NDA. I know I'm not qualified. I just wanted to, test the waters. So I wrote NDA exams. Nobody knew in my house I wrote NDA exams, so nobody will know if I failed. Besides, even if I passed, nobody will allow me to go because I hadn't made the criteria there. It was just an effort to know, can I face the real NDA exam? Like Khalil, right? Just told us here that he's convinced he can challenge even university students in his field. For me at that time, I wasn't convinced I can challenge anything. All I wanted was to fly. So the moral here is putting that effort. So when I was in SS3 proper, I wrote the exams again. But unfortunately for me, I didn't make it. But it's a passion. So a year after my graduation, I wrote the exam again, the third time. And that was when I passed the academy. Found myself in the academy. And my bubble was burst in the academy when I was told you can only be a pilot in Nigerian Air Force, but not the Navy. So I was really sad. I did everything humanly possible to leave the Navy and go to the Air Force so I could fly. Everything. And believe it or not, because of my, would I say persistence? No, that one that people don't like, penchant, right? They set up a committee to look into the cases of cadets that want to change from one arm of service to the other, because the Nigerian Defense Academy is Army, Navy, Air Force put together. So that committee decided that they will interview all of us. I think we were about 9. And guess what? Of the 9 of us, only Muhammad Shatima was refused change from Navy to Air Force. All the rest got changed. Less me, they refused. So I was really bitter to the point of almost losing my cool that I was going to leave the academy, it's not for me, blah, blah, blah. But Allah saw me through. And eventually, after graduation to the academy, the news filtered around that, oh, the Navy has acquired some helicopters. They are going to start training pilots, blah, blah, blah. In fact, the first set of pilots are in Italy training. And I was like, wow, is this it? And we went in, put in our names, and fast forward, we were nominated. We went, trained as pilots, and today, I don't like saying that I have achieved much, but I think when I completed my training in 2005, in 2009, I had the privilege of flying the president. I think as at that time, I was the youngest ever to fly a sitting president. Yaradua, late Yaradua, and I got missing with him. So what I'm trying to tell you here is, first and foremost, is for you to look into yourself. Ask yourself, what do you want to be? What change, what difference, what impact do you think you have the key? Nothing is too small. I'm telling you, Dr. Mariam's thought process wowed me completely. I mean, at that age, she couldn't understand why in the city the houses are hot, while in the village the houses were conducive. And she wanted a solution. There are so many things we could do. Even the CMO we have today is a product of trying to find solution. I think shortly after 9/11, the term Muslim was synonymous to terrorist, right? The moment you say I'm a Muslim, people will go, oh, I hope you're, if you hold it back, oh, I hope that doesn't go. So I started asking myself, what do I do? And I thought, okay, if I'm too old to do something, what about the young chaps in schools? Do we encourage them to make research? Do we encourage them to write essays about the difference between jihad and terrorism, westernization or civilization? So the essence of Crystal Muslim Organization, which started with one person in 2006, and mashallah, today we have about 1,000 or more members in 8 states, is a product of perseverance. Crystal Talk is a platform that we created to enable you to hear from those that have succeeded despite the challenges before them. And we hope that after this presentation, especially the Q&A, or in fact after the whole day, you will keep touch, you the participants, with those that you have found inspiring. It could be Dr. Mariam, could be Dr. Ibrahim, could be Dr. Abdul Jamil. Those of you that want to go into linguists or other fields in life, not necessarily directed to his or her specialization, they could give you some pep talk, give you some inspirational guidance, motivate you, okay? So during the Q&A, I would love to see a situation where you like to you interact with them. Not asking questions, so how much money do you have now? Don't listen to Auntie Shatu on that. She has so much money, but she doesn't give. So that's why I say you shouldn't listen to her. So, on a serious note, link up with people that can inspire you. Keep friends. On a final note, I say friendship you choose. But siblings, unfortunately, you don't. Nobody chooses who will be his brother or his sister. And no matter what you do, like the young man here is my brother, it can never be said, oh, they were brothers before. They will say, oh, they are brothers, but they are not in good terms. So you don't choose your brothers. But friends, say, oh, they were friends before. Say, oh, what happened? Oh, they got into a disagreement and they parted ways. And the world goes around. So friends, you choose. So please, choose wisely. Choose very, very deliberate friends that will bring you closer to Allah and closer to your goals. Don't choose friends because they are cool, or they are rich, or they can provide you X and Y worldly things. Believe me, I have seen that. Choose your friends very, very wisely, and make sure they are friends that will inspire you to your goals. So at this point, I want to hand over the mic to the MC. You want to say something? Okay, I'm not good at signal. Just say, hey, I want to talk. Okay. So, but before inviting Auntie Rahama to the stage. No, you have to come to the stage now. You were raising your hand shouting, Uncle me, Uncle me. No, they can't see you. Wait, let her come. So let me thank our speakers that have spoken, and may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reward you for your effort of coming here, and may your knowledge continue to spread and be beneficial to the ummah, and may every ounce of word you have shared to somebody be impactful, and may you also derive reward from that effort. Assalamu alaikum.
I went to a teacher's college in a very remote place in Plateau State called Garkawa. During my teaching practice, my class was under a tree. So I was a teacher teaching under a tree. You can imagine if there's rain or something, it will be on us. I look at it. I said, I will be a teacher or build a school of a standard that people will benefit. No child will be under a tree. And I was just in my final year, that's teaching practice, and God answered my prayers. I wasn't doing that because I want to benefit myself, but I didn't want children to be learning under a tree. And Allah made me to be part and parcel of Esteem School. So go under your dream, pursue your dream, and have a good intention. Meaning, innama a'malu binniyat. Action goes with intention, and pursue it. Allah knows maybe I'm not going to be fully involved in Esteem. I work with government, but I'm also partly part of Esteem. And my dream, my hope, my happiness is in those children. So I just want to inspire you that please, when you have a dream, pray and believe in your dream and pursue it, and the sky will be your starting point. May Allah bless you all, and we hope to see many of successful children among you, leaders of tomorrow that can make this country better. Assalamu alaikum.